Hello everybody, BradThunder here again, and I would just like... Oh, get out! Get out! The power of tea compels you. The power of tea compels you. The power of tea compels... This is a video response to a video by Andy Busman, the mind thief, who made a video about his record collection, and I would like to show you mine. Although mine's, in this particular instance, is artist specific, and specifically the artist is Gary Newman, as you may have already seen from the introduction. Now I've been a fan of Gary Newman since 1979. When, as a young boy, I would go to bed and listen to the Late Show on Radio 1, which was the 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock slot, which was hosted by John Peel, who is unfortunately no longer with us. John Peel used to play a lot of... this was at the time that punk was booming. And John Peel was actually responsible for getting a lot of bands into the public eye, as it were, or ear, into the public's ears. Bands that would never have seen the light of day otherwise. And Gary Newman, or as he was known in those days, when he first started in the music business, Tubeway Army, and it was under that name that he had his first #1 hit, which was Our Friends Electric. In fact, one of the records in my collection, or two of the records I should say, are actually the John Peel sessions. Tubeway Army ones and the Gary Newman ones as well. Now you can actually see on the front cover here all the bands that took part in these sessions. Just looking on here, we've got Susie and the Banshees, Critical Litty, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark, The Damned, Adam and the Ants, Elvis Costello. Now, my most prized possession in this collection is actually the first album that Gary Newman released. Only 10,000 of these were actually pressed back in 1978, August 1978. Now this was the first album, and it's in one of these gatefold sleeves. It's not a double album, but the special thing about this album, as you may have detected from the colour of the cover, is that it is in blue vinyl. Now this is kind of like the holy grail in the Newman record collection fraternity, because not many of these are still in existence. Last year I saw one of these fetch £250 on eBay, and I don't know what the condition of that album was, but this one, which I acquired a few years back at a local record fair for £30, is in A1 mint condition. Now there's a way of telling that, aside from holding it up to the light and seeing if there's any scratches on it. But you know when you're playing your record and you put it on the turntable and you have to kind of locate that centre pin, so you slide the thing about until it pops on it. Well, in the same way, if you were, when your ballpoint pen doesn't work and you scribble on the paper trying to get the ink to flow, it leaves a mark on the paper, like a little tracing. Well, the centre pin on the turntable is no different, and what it tends to do is leave a little trace around the centre hole of the record. Over time, that becomes this congealed mass of traces, and so you get this kind of a worn, shiny area around the rim of the hole. And actually on the actual lip of the hole, because obviously the label's made of paper, that starts to fray and wear, so you're going through the coloured ink layer down to the sort of the paper layer below, so it'll be white. I know. This particular one, which is, as I say, came out in 1970, so it's a 31-year-old album. On side A, I can count, we'll round it up, we'll say 6 individual traces. I reckon there's maybe 10 on side B. So this album, this 30-year-old ultra rare album, has virtually never been played. So, my prized possession. Now, like I say, the thing about when you're collecting records of a particular artist is that you don't just buy each album as it comes out, each single as it comes out. You try and collect all the different variations. And here's a perfect example. This is a single that came out in the late 80s, which wasn't one of his most interesting periods. From 85 to 95 he was kind of in a musical slump. But anyway, this is a single called I Can't Stop, of which the actual single is here. There's the 7-inch single, I Can't Stop. I've no idea what this image was that he was going for. I mean, Gary Numan's been kind of like Madonna in the fact that every time an album would come out, he'd create a new sort of image. From the sort of post-apocalyptic warrior to the gangster to the futuristic guy to the mad, crazy maniac sort of thing. But I have no idea what was going on in his head here. But anyway, this is called I Can't Stop. So that's the 7-inch single, the 10-inch single, the 12-inch single, the 12-inch picture disc, 12-inch special club DJ promo, the 7-inch flexi disc. Remember these used to be sellotaped to the covers of smash hits and magazines. And lastly but not leastly, the 7-inch aeroplane shaped picture disc in the shape of a Japanese zero. After he retired from live performances with this concert here, the Living Ornaments box set, he became a pilot, and contrary to what most people have read in the newspapers and seen on TV, he actually became quite accomplished, performing at countless numbers of air shows. A very, very skilled aerobatics pilot as well. And this was a plane that he used and painted up and used at his air shows. There is also another one, which was from the Warriors era, and this one's actually quite rare as well. I've seen this fetch a few bob on eBay. That's another aeroplane shaped picture disc. There's the image for Warriors. It's kind of that post-apocalyptic warrior, Mad Max style, the sort of thing. Actually, what's his name? Simon Le Bon copied it, didn't they, for Wild Boys? But on the back, this was the little promo card for the tour, and on the back you'll see number 3, Dundee Caird Hall, September the 23rd, 1983. Now I can remember after the concert finished, me and my mate Alan and Cameron, we rushed back to the hotel where we knew he was staying. And for 2 hours we stood there in the cold and dark, waiting on the man himself. And eventually he did turn up, and we all, because there was other people there as well, we all sort of swarmed around his car trying to get his autograph, which I never ever did. But I can remember saying, because as you can see, it was quite a big tour, 40-day tour, and Dundee was the 3rd one on the list. And as we were sort of walking him back to the hotel, I remember saying, "Ah well, 3 down, 37 to go," and he laughed. Now, for a young boy who's like standing next to his idol, that was a big deal, and as you can see, it's obviously sort of stayed with me. Here's a couple of oddities. These are bootleg albums. Right, this one here kinda came a bit infamous. Gary Numan Tube Army live at the Roxy in 1977. Now, this was kind of like an illegal pressing. Didn't come with a proper cover, just a sheet of paper. Had a list of the tracks on the back, but interestingly it said, "Warning, contact with the BPI can seriously damage your health." I think the BPI is the British Phonographic Industry. And here's another one. This is an American one. This was recorded at the Santa Monica Civic, Los Angeles in March of 1980. It's called Transcript. I've seen that fetch a few bob as well. Here's an interesting little variation on the 7-inch single. In Europe, in the UK, in America, you bring out a single, comes out in a little picture cover with your single inside it. Not so in Japan. Over there, they have, well, as I said, they're called Japanese imports, but of course over there they're just called records. But these are Japanese import records, imported from Japan, no less. And the name's a giveaway, isn't it? But the way they do them over there is they come in these little vinyl sleeves. The record itself just comes in a little paper sleeve, and these ones are actually printed on the Atlantic label. And the thing with the Japanese pressings is that they were of a much higher quality than the European pressings. They've got the master tape, and of course the Japanese, just like their cars, their electronics, their everything that they do it generally better than the rest of us. And the actual picture cover is just a little thin sleeve. But they just look cool. You know, they've got the lyrics on the back, which was something we never got on ours. Speaking of collecting all the different variants, here's a single that came out in 1980, I Die, You Die. Now I think the thinking behind that title is that if the artist, be they a musician, painter, writer, actor, gives up, then it's us, the fans, who suffer. Not egotistical at all, you know. However, here's another three I Die, You Dies. These are Germans. One in green, one in blue, one in white. Now there's also a yellow, which has thus far eluded me. But then that's the whole fun of record collecting. You know, you'll see a record fair, you'll go, and you'll eventually one day come across it. Or granted, eBay makes it easy, which I have actually done. A few of these have come from eBay. It's like so many other things, the internet has spoiled a lot of fun to be had in certain hobbies. It's made it easy. You know, you sit there and you wiggle your finger, clicking your mouse. To me, half the fun and half of these records have actually come from trawling through the end section in record fairs, in the hope that you'll find this single or 12-inch or LP that you've been searching for ages. I mentioned this in a previous vlog. I like the fact that when you look at an album, you can see the music. And although you can actually touch it, I wouldn't advise doing that because you don't want to get any of the oils off your skin into the grooves. But you know, there you can actually see there. That's the music, the form that it takes. And even if you do run your hands across the surface of the record, you'll be able to feel the music. You can't do that with an MP3 file or even a CD. So there's something special about these. Plus, some people say that these sound better. Now granted, you need one of these top-of-the-line systems to really prove that point. You know, that 10 grand for the turntable, 6 grand for the needle, 5 grand for the arm, and speakers that cost more than your house. But it is said that the analogue recording and mastering of a vinyl record captures something that is completely lost in the digital process. It captures that ambience, the atmosphere, the feel of the room, especially if it's a proper live recording with musicians spread around the microphone. There's something in the air that you can sense, the presence of other people, and that somehow translates through the analogue recording, mixing and mastering process, so that a really good hi-fi system can actually reproduce that as well, so that when you close your eyes, you can actually shit. So anyway, that's my little contribution to Andy's marathon series and my little record collection. Well, at least part of it anyway. Although this does constitute a fair chunk of it. But there we go. Hope you enjoyed it. How did that get in here? Is that still recording?